Can you imagine ordering food, medicine, or even a blender and getting it in under 30 minutes in the middle of a city with chaotic traffic, low financial inclusion, and tons of logistical challenges? That's exactly what Glovo promised and often delivered in cities across Latin America, Eastern Europe, and Africa. But how do you build an efficient delivery app in emerging markets where the rules of the game are very different from Silicon Valley? Today on Economy Factor, we'll discover how Glovo adapted its business model to local realities, combining technology, speed, and a good dose of pragmatism to grow. This is the story of smart delivery in tough environments. It all began in Barcelona, Spain in 2015. Three young founders, Oscar Pierre, Sasha Michaud, and Roger Olivet, had an ambitious idea to create an app that lets you order anything and get it delivered in minutes, like an extension of your arm. They were inspired by platforms like Postmates and Uber Eats, but with a clear difference. Their ambition wasn't just to conquer major European capitals, it was to reach the markets no one else wanted to enter. The MVP was simple, an app that connected users with independent couriers, called Glovers, who delivered on scooters, bikes, or even on foot. The founders made the first deliveries themselves to better understand the model's friction points. A key decision was going international early on. Glovo expanded at record speed. Italy, Peru, Argentina, Morocco, Ukraine, Kenya. Unlike its competitors, Glovo wasn't afraid of unpredictable environments. They stepped into institutionally void markets, where lack of infrastructure could also mean opportunity. But getting there is just the first step. Scaling is the real challenge. Glovo knew it couldn't just copy-paste a European business model. Each city needed its own tweaks: alternative payment methods, integration with informal businesses, route optimization in areas with no clear addresses. Their geolocation technology had to be fine-tuned for streets with duplicate names or neighborhoods with no official maps. Another cornerstone was their logistics algorithm. Glovo developed systems that didn't just assign orders to riders, they also factored in traffic, wait time at the store, and even energy efficiency depending on the vehicle. This helped bring delivery times below 30 minutes in many cities, even in chaotic environments. And it wasn't just food. Glovo pioneered categories like anything, where you could order everything from a car battery to a photocopy. This helped diversify revenue and position them as a logistics super app. So far, so good. But creating shared value means improving both a company's competitiveness and the social conditions in which it operates. Did Glovo achieve this balance? The answer is complicated. On one hand, Glovo offered quick income opportunities to thousands of young people without formal jobs. For many, being a Glover was the only available option to make money. On the other hand, the company faced harsh criticism over working conditions, long hours, no social security, opaque algorithms that punished mistakes, and a work relationship based on informality. This is where the idea of social debt comes in. Yes, Glovo solved a logistical need and created jobs, but at what cost? The lack of regulation in many emerging markets allowed practices that would be unacceptable in Western Europe. In fact, in 2020, Glovo was fined in Spain for having over 10,000 riders misclassified as freelancers. Still, Glovo kept growing, and many users and even governments looked the other way, prioritizing efficiency over labor rights. It's a dilemma that still defines the platform economy. What sets Glovo apart from other players is its adaptability. While others invested in sophistication, Glovo invested in functional simplicity. The app was lightweight, compatible with low-end smartphones, and translated into multiple languages, including local dialects. Its backend allowed new cities to be activated in just weeks, and the organizational structure was decentralized. Each country had the freedom to adjust pricing, partnerships, and campaigns based on local needs. This fast pivot approach, typical of lean startups, was key to surviving in economically unstable environments like Argentina or Nigeria. They also launched a subscription service, Glovo Prime, to boost user retention in low-income cities, offering free deliveries in exchange for a small monthly fee. A model inspired by Amazon Prime, but adapted to a different kind of customer. Some of the most interesting examples came from cities where others had failed. In Lima, Peru, Glovo managed to bring informal market vendors online, letting users order fruits and vegetables from merchants who had never used the internet. In Nairobi, Kenya, they partnered with pharmacies to deliver medicine to low-income neighborhoods. And in Bucharest, Romania, they became the go-to app, not just for food, but even for express errands. These examples show that global success wasn't just about tech. It came from truly understanding local contexts. But behind every lightning-fast delivery is a story that often goes untold, because beyond the maps, algorithms, and efficiency metrics, the heart of Glovo and any delivery platform is the riders, and their experiences are as diverse as the countries where they operate. Many riders joined Glovo looking for a quick income. Some were students, others undocumented migrants or workers pushed out by an informal job market. The app gave them something clear: connect, work, and get paid with almost no entry barriers. But when we listen to what they say, and here data isn't enough, what we find is a mix of freedom and precarity. Freedom because they choose their hours, routes, and can even reject orders. Precarity, because that same flexibility often comes with no insurance, no formal contracts, and algorithms that don't explain why your earnings dropped this week. One of the biggest sources of conflict is algorithmic opacity. Many riders say their income suddenly falls, their orders drop, or their accounts are blocked. No warning and no one to talk to, the app decides. And in emerging markets where labor rights are weak, that leads to real vulnerability. There are also invisible costs: the bike, the phone, the data plan, physical wear and tear. All of that falls on the rider. And while Glovo did implement incentives and insurance programs in some countries, coverage was inconsistent and often limited to specific hours or situations. In several countries, riders organized. In Lima, Bogota, Barcelona, and beyond, there were protests demanding fairer conditions. They weren't trying to destroy the app. They wanted to improve it. They wanted to be part of the system, not just invisible cogs. What's interesting is that some of those demands are starting to be heard. In Spain, after major pressure, the rider law was passed, forcing platforms to recognize riders as employees. And in other markets, Glovo and similar platforms have begun testing hybrid models: part-time contracts, shared insurance, or fairer rating systems. All this shows that logistical efficiency shouldn't come at the cost of the people who make it happen. Glovo's story raises an important question: can delivery be truly inclusive and sustainable in emerging markets? The key will be how well these platforms balance efficiency with social justice. The platforms of the future will need to be more transparent, cooperative, and capable of creating real value, not just for investors, but for riders and entire communities. Glovo leaves us with a powerful lesson. Innovation doesn't always come from sleek offices in Silicon Valley. Sometimes real change happens on an unnamed street in the heart of a chaotic city, thanks to a rider on a bike delivering more than just an order, delivering access, speed, and opportunity. If you like this story of innovation with real impact, give the video a like, share it with someone thinking about starting a business in emerging markets, and subscribe to Economy Factor for more stories that connect business, tech, and society.